The contract in her hands was going to kill him in exactly 48 hours, and Imani Hayes was the only person in this blood-soaked mansion who could see it coming. Her fingers trembled as she wiped down the ebony desk in Dae-Jung Choi's private sanctuary, the late afternoon sun pouring through bulletproof windows like liquid gold. She'd mastered the art of being a ghost in this house, moving through rooms like smoke, existing in the spaces between danger and silence. For 5 months, she'd been invisible, cleaning around classified documents, vacuuming near whispered death sentences, breathing the same air as men who trafficked in violence like other people traded stocks. But today, everything shattered, because the document spread across Dae-Jung's desk wasn't just a contract. It was an execution order dressed in legal language, and she recognized the signature style of the people who'd already destroyed her once before. The same elegant traps, the same brilliant malice, the same poison that had stolen her career, her reputation, her entire identity 3 years ago. Section 12, subsection F. The words blurred as her heart slammed against her ribs. She knew these clauses. She'd written contracts like this in another lifetime, before the world had chewed her up and spit her out, before powerful men had decided she was disposable. No, she whispered to the empty room, her voice cracking. Not again. Not to someone else. The door exploded open. Imani jumped, her cleaning cloth hitting the floor as Dae-Jung Choi himself entered. 6'4" of lethal elegance in a midnight suit that cost more than she'd earned in 5 years. His dark eyes, the kind that could order a massacre over breakfast without blinking, swept the room with predatory precision and landed on her with cold indifference. "You're still here?" His voice was silk wrapped around steel, that slight Korean accent making every word sound like a threat and a promise. I'm finishing, Mr. Choi." Imani bent quickly to grab her cloth, praying he hadn't noticed her staring at his papers, praying her face didn't betray the sirens screaming in her mind. But as she straightened, her eyes met his. And before survival instincts could stop her, before 5 months of keeping her head down and her mouth shut could silence her, the words erupted. "Forgive me, sir, but that contract is a death trap." Time stopped. Dae-Jung's expression, that polite mask of dismissal he wore for people he considered beneath notice, froze on his face. Then slowly, terrifyingly, it melted away completely. What replaced it was pure, undiluted focus, the kind of attention that preceded either salvation or annihilation. What did you just say? What secret was Imani hiding? How did a cleaning woman recognize corporate warfare that most lawyers couldn't detect? And what would happen now that she'd spoken words that would detonate everything? 5 months earlier, Imani had walked up to the Choi compound with $42 in her pocket and demons nipping at her heels. The fortress rose before her like something out of a crime thriller, all reinforced concrete and one-way glass, radiating the kind of power that didn't ask for permission. She clutched her sanitized resume, the one that carefully omitted her law degree from Yale, her former position at Blackwell and Morrison, one of Chicago's most savage corporate law firms, the place where they'd systematically dismantled her soul and laughed while doing it. Mrs. Park, the head of household, had examined her with the precision of someone who'd seen 1,000 desperate women walk through these doors. "You understand what discretion means in this household?" "Yes, ma'am." "What happens in these walls stays in these walls. What you hear dissolves into silence. Mr. Choi requires staff who can become invisible." "I understand perfectly," Imani had said, meeting the woman's gaze with quiet strength. "I need this job. I won't be a problem." And she hadn't been. For 5 months, Imani had been the perfect phantom, arriving at dawn and vanishing by sunset. She never paused when Dae-Jung conducted business in multiple languages. She never studied the documents everywhere. She never reacted when conversations turned to territories and transactions that would make prosecutors salivate. She'd built a fortress between Imani Hayes, domestic worker, and Imani Hayes, former rising star at Blackwell and Morrison, the firm that had crucified her career and buried the evidence. But now, staring at Dae-Jung's contract, Imani felt that fortress crumbling. Section 12, subsection F, contained the exact same toxic language that had annihilated her existence 3 years ago. And she couldn't stay silent while another person walked into that hell, even if that person was a Korean mob boss who could make her disappear with a text message. Dae-Jung's eyes bored into her, all indifference evaporating. In 3 strides, he stood before her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, bergamot, and something darker like gunpowder and expensive whiskey. You recognized something in this contract. Not a question. His voice had dropped to that lethal whisper. Every survival instinct screamed at her to lie, to run. But another part of her, the part that had spent 3 years crawling back from oblivion, refused to bow. Section 12, subsection F, she said, forcing steel into her voice. The dispute resolution framework. It looks standard, but it's poison. The arbitration requirement binds only you, not Chen Wei. The language is deliberately asymmetrical. It means Chen can sue you in any court, but you can only go to arbitration with an arbitrator he selects. You sign this, you're handing him a loaded gun. The silence felt like drowning. Dae-Jung stared at her, truly seeing her for the first time. His jaw tightened. Something shifted in his expression, recognition of intelligence where he'd assumed only obedience. Who are you? The question came out slow, dangerous. Sit down. Dae-Jung's voice carried absolute authority. He gestured to the leather chair where men in expensive suits had sat and failed to hide their terror. I should leave. Sit. Down. Not a request. Her legs obeyed. She sank into the chair, still in her uniform, facing a man who controlled Chicago's underworld like a conductor leading a symphony of violence. Dae-Jung placed the contract before her, then pulled a chair beside her, not behind his desk, but close enough that she could see the surgical intelligence in his eyes. Read it. Every word. Tell me what else I'm missing. Mr. Choi. Dae-Jung. And you're going to tell me your real name, your real story. But first, dissect every trap in this contract. Imani's hands shook as she pulled the document closer. Her mind activated, analyzing, seeing patterns most lawyers would miss. It was muscle memory, this ability to decode legal warfare, the talent that had been her greatest weapon before it became her curse. Section 4, the payment architecture, she began, her voice gaining strength. The upfront payment is clear, but the supplementary compensation tied to performance metrics, that's a ticking bomb. There's no definition of what these metrics are. Chen could claim you've failed benchmarks that were never defined, withhold millions, and sue you for breach. You'll be fighting a war with your hands tied. Dae-Jung's expression darkened. Continue. Section 8, the confidentiality provisions, completely asymmetrical. You're bound to absolute silence. He's bound to reasonable discretion. That's unenforceable against him. If anything goes public, you're automatically in violation. He can leak everything while you burn. For 40 minutes, Imani dismantled the contract like a bomb technician. She exposed hidden exit clauses, liability provisions that funneled all risk onto Dae-Jung, indemnification language that made him responsible for catastrophes Chen himself might orchestrate. By the time she finished, Dae-Jung's expression had transformed to absolute fury. This entire contract is designed to annihilate me. Yes, whoever crafted this is exceptionally skilled. Most attorneys would approve it, but underneath it's a masterwork of legal assassination. Sign this and Chen Wei owns you. When he's finished exploiting you, he can destroy you without violating a single statute. Dae-Jung stood stalking to the window, hands clenched. I've done business with Chen for 7 years. I trusted him. My legal team reviewed this. 5 attorneys confirmed it was acceptable. They're either catastrophically incompetent or they've been bought. Dae-Jung turned sharply. You sound remarkably confident. I am. Because this has happened to you before. Imani felt the walls collapsing. Yes, this exact contract destroyed everything I'd ever worked for. The confession hung between them, a bridge across an impossible chasm. Tell me everything. She took a shaky breath, and the truth she'd buried for 3 years fought its way up. My name is Imani Elizabeth Hayes. 6 years ago, I graduated summa cum laude from Yale Law. I was recruited by Blackwell & Morrison, one of the most prestigious firms in Chicago. After 20 months, I made junior partner, youngest in the firm's history. Dae-Jung listened, his eyes never leaving her face. 3 years ago, I was assigned to a critical merger. Billions at stake. I reviewed the contracts and discovered hidden clauses, identical to what's in yours. Legal landmines that would have obliterated the target company and exposed our client to catastrophic liability. You reported it. I reported it to Marcus Morrison himself. I believed I was protecting the firm. He thanked me, told me to redraft the contracts correctly. I worked 5 days straight without sleep to eliminate every trap. I submitted the corrected version, her hands clenched. 4 weeks later, I was summoned to a meeting. Morrison, Blackwell, and 4 senior partners accused me of document falsification. They claimed the original trap contracts were my work, that I'd tried to sabotage the merger. Dae-Jung's jaw tightened. They framed you. They had emails with my name, documents with my signature, everything. A complete digital paper trail. I tried to defend myself, but I was one junior partner against the entire leadership. They claimed I'd had a psychological breakdown, that I was delusional. They offered me a choice, resign quietly, or they'd destroy my career so thoroughly I'd never work in law again. You resigned. I had law school debt totaling $230,000. No family, no safety net. I couldn't afford to fight. Tears escaped. I signed their settlement. Ironclad NDAs, non-disparagement clauses. They gave me 6 months' salary and a neutral reference. And then they blacklisted you. I applied to 78 firms. Not one hired me. They'd quietly circulated that I was unstable, unreliable, unfit for legal work. They destroyed me whisper by whisper. Dae-Jung's hands curled into fists. So you became invisible. I eliminated my law degree from my resume, everything connecting me to that world. I became just another woman working service jobs to survive. For 3 years, I convinced myself that was enough. Her voice dropped. Until today. Until I saw your contract. Until you saw the identical poisoned language. Those clauses are Marcus Morrison's signature technique. I'd recognize his methodology anywhere. He's the one who crafted the original traps, the ones they framed me for. And I'm certain he drafted your contract with Chen Wei. Silence descended like a hammer. Dae-Jung moved to his desk and picked up his phone. Jay, I need the name of the law firm that drafted the Chen contract. Right now. A pause. Blackwell & Morrison, Chicago. His expression transformed into something lethal. Cancel the Chen meeting. Tell him I need more time, and get me everything on Blackwell & Morrison and a former partner named Imani Elizabeth Hayes. Everything. He ended the call. You saved my life today. Or at minimum, my empire. A debt like that doesn't go unpaid in my world. Ever. I don't want payment. I just couldn't watch them do to someone else what they did to me. That's unfortunate. Dae-Jung moved closer. Because I always settle my debts. And right now, Imani Elizabeth Hayes, I owe you everything. Which means you're about to receive 2 things, justice and protection, whether you want them or not. Something in his voice made her look up. What she saw took her breath away. Not just gratitude, recognition. One survivor seeing another. They're going to come for me, she whispered. The moment they discover I'm here, capable of exposing everything. Let them come. His voice dropped to that lethal whisper. I've built an empire by protecting what's mine. And you are now under my protection. Anyone who touches you answers to me personally. In that moment, everything transformed. Dae-Jung Choi had just declared total war on one of Chicago's most powerful law firms. The next 96 hours passed in a blur. Dae-Jung didn't just investigate Blackwell and Morrison. He vivisected them. What they uncovered made Imani's destruction look like a practice run. Morrison and Blackwell had been executing the same scheme for over a decade, engineering compromised contracts, then weaponizing them to blackmail, control, or destroy anyone inconvenient. "We've identified 11 others," Jay reported during a meeting. Imani sat in the corner, guards assigned to her apartment, unable to leave the compound. 11 attorneys, all women, all exceptional, all destroyed by accusations of misconduct or instability, all vanished from the profession. "Where are they now?" Dae-Jung asked. 4 working retail, 2 bartending, 3 relocated out of state. Jay's expression darkened. 2 took their own lives, 1 9 months after leaving, another 8 months ago. Imani felt the room tilt. She'd almost been number 3. There had been nights when oblivion had seemed like mercy. Dae-Jung's eyes found hers. What she saw wasn't pity, it was understanding and cold rage. "Morrison and Blackwell are going to pay for every life they destroyed," he said quietly. "But we need to be surgical. They're connected to judges, politicians, corporate boards. We need them trapped with no exit." "So what's your proposal?" Jay asked. "We give them exactly what they gave Imani." Dae-Jung turned to her. "A perfect trap they won't see coming, and we need a brilliant attorney to design it." He crossed the room. "Imani, I need you to work for me, not as staff, as my chief legal counsel." Her heart stuttered. "I can't practice law. My reputation. You'll work exclusively for me. My organization needs someone who can protect my interests from legal warfare. Someone I can trust, absolutely." His voice softened. "Someone who understands betrayal." "Why would you do this for me?" "You're not just anything." He moved closer. "You're brilliant, courageous. You've survived something that would shatter most people. You witnessed injustice and spoke up when it could have cost you everything. That's not weakness. That's extraordinary strength. And I want that strength protecting my empire." Tears broke free, 3 years of invisible anguish spilling out, 3 years of believing she was worthless, broken. All of it cracked open at his words. "They'll come for me," she whispered. "They'll come with everything." "Let them try." His fingers tilted her chin up. "I've built an empire by protecting what's mine. And you are mine now. Anyone who touches you answers to me personally." Something shifted, deeper than employment or strategy. "All right," she said softly. "I'll do it." Dae-Jung smiled, genuine and transformative. "Excellent, because I've already had your office prepared. Tomorrow we construct the most devastating legal trap Blackwell and Morrison has ever encountered. From invisible maid to chief legal counsel." Imani's transformation had begun. 5 months later, Imani sat behind her own desk overlooking the city. She was surrounded by law books, monitors, and contracts that would make her former firm weep. Her curls fell in elegant spirals. She wore a custom suit. But the real transformation was the fire in her eyes, the confidence in her posture. "You're smiling," Dae-Jung said, entering with coffee, oat milk, and 1 sugar, exactly how she liked it. "I'm winning," Imani replied. "Marcus Morrison just walked into our trap, and he has no idea what's coming." They'd created a seemingly legitimate business arrangement between Dae-Jung's development corporation and a venture capital firm. The contracts were flawless, profitable for both parties. Blackwell and Morrison had been retained to review the arrangement. Hidden inside were 11 invisible clauses, each designed to gradually transfer liability onto the VC firm and Morrison's firm themselves. "Morrison approved the contracts 3 days ago," Imani continued, "didn't catch a single trap. In 9 months, when the first liability trigger activates, the VC firm will sue Blackwell and Morrison for malpractice. We'll have documentation showing Morrison deliberately overlooked warnings, the same methodology he used to frame me. And the other victims? All 9 survivors are prepared to come forward once Morrison's reputation fractures. The NDAs were obtained through fraud, legally unenforceable. We're going to bury them. You're magnificent, Dae-Jung said softly, and the way he looked at her made her breath catch. Something had been building between them over these months, late nights working together, the way he remembered every detail, how he'd cancelled important meetings because she needed his perspective. Dae-Jung, she said quietly, why are you really doing this? This war has cost you everything. You know why? He leaned against her desk. Tell me anyway. Because I've spent my life in a world where power means everything and loyalty means nothing, where people betray you for survival. And then I met a woman who risked everything twice simply to do what was right, who saved me not because she wanted something, but because she couldn't watch injustice happen again. His hand touched her cheek. You reminded me that honor exists, Imani, and I'm not letting anyone hurt you ever again. I'm falling for you, Imani whispered. I started falling for you the moment you looked me in the eye and told me my contract was a weapon, Dae-Jung said, his hand sliding into her hair. Every day since, watching you rebuild yourself, watching you fight. I've never met anyone like you, and I'm not letting you go. Ever. When he kissed her, it was gentle first, then deeper, and it felt like coming home after years of being lost. We're going to destroy them together, he murmured, then build something real. Yes, Imani breathed. Together. 10 months later, Imani stood beside Dae-Jung in federal court, watching Marcus Morrison and Gerald Blackwell led away in handcuffs. The malpractice lawsuit had been just the beginning. All 9 survivors had come forward. The media descended. The Illinois State Bar discovered a pattern spanning 14 years, hundreds of victims, millions in illegal profits. Blackwell and Morrison was obliterated. Bankruptcy within 6 weeks. Both partners faced disbarment and criminal charges. Their legacy was ashes. Imani had testified at the bar hearing, faced Morrison across a table with 9 other women beside her, watched him realize who had destroyed him. His expression, shock transforming to terror to rage, had been sweeter than any fantasy. How do you feel? Dae-Jung asked. Like I can finally breathe. What now? Now we keep building, she said, touching his face. Your empire needs exceptional counsel. And I need to be the powerful, brilliant woman you always were, he finished. And I'm going to ensure the world knows it. 6 weeks later, the New York Times ran a viral feature. From MAID to legal mastermind, how Imani Hayes dismantled a corrupt empire. It told her complete story. The injustice, the survival, the triumph. Her new position as chief legal counsel for Choi Enterprises. Job offers flooded in. Imani declined everyone. She had everything she needed. Another late night. Dae-Jung found her reviewing contracts at 11 p.m. Just finishing. She moved into his embrace. I have something for you. He pulled out a velvet box containing not a ring, but a key. This is to the compound. Every room, every door. I want you to move in. No more separation. I want you here, with me, safe and protected and home. That's significant. I know, but I've never been more certain. You're my partner, Imani. In business, justice, everything. And I love you completely. Absolutely forever. I love you too, she whispered. And yes. Yes to everything. The kiss tasted like triumph and promise and a future they'd build together, where justice wasn't just a dream, where a black woman who'd been told she was nothing proved she was everything. As they left hand in hand, Imani caught her reflection. She barely recognized herself from the invisible maid a year ago. That woman had been broken, hiding, terrified. This woman was whole, powerful, loved, free, and she would never be invisible again. 6 months later, Dae-Jung proposed on the compound rooftop where they'd spent countless nights planning and falling in love. "Marry me," he said. "Build an empire with me. Build a life that proves love and loyalty can survive anything." "Yes," Imani said, laughing and crying. "Absolutely yes." Their wedding blended cultures and worlds, Korean traditions woven with elements honoring Imani's heritage, a celebration reminding everyone that love didn't follow society's rules. When Imani Hayes became Imani Choi, standing beside her husband, she thought about that terrified woman who'd almost given up 3 years ago. The junior partner destroyed for doing right, the invisible maid, the survivor who found courage with nothing left to lose. She was grateful for every scar, every wound, every moment of darkness, because it led her here, to this man, this life, this version of herself stronger and more complete than ever before. The powerful people who'd tried to destroy her had failed spectacularly, and in failing, they'd created something they never anticipated. A woman who knew how corrupt systems worked, had the intelligence to dismantle them, the courage to fight them, and the resources of an empire behind her. Imani Choi wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, building, creating, and helping other destroyed women find their way back to power. Because her story proved that being broken wasn't the end. That injustice didn't have to be the final word. That sometimes the people who tried to destroy you gave you exactly what you needed to become unstoppable. And she was just getting started. If Imani's journey from devastation to triumph moved you, if her story inspired something in you, don't just watch and move on. Hit that like button. Subscribe because we bring you stories of resilience, justice, and people who refused to stay down when the world tried to bury them. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their story isn't over, that comeback is possible. Drop a comment about a time you rose from the ashes. And remember, being broken isn't the end. It's just the beginning of becoming unbreakable. Until next time, keep fighting for what's right. Your empire is waiting.